We got ourselves a batch of shinies, Commander.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Coordinated Fire, episode 28, a Star Wars Shatterpoint podcast where sometimes we make poor choices, and our co-hosts shouldn't shame us over them.
Should they not, though?
Yeah, as you guys are going to find out.
That's half the fun, though, right? It's
Yeah.
razzing people
As you
about
guys
it
are going to find
afterwards.
out, my draft didn't go as planned, but we'll get to that in a minute. First,
Listen,
we have
I had one
guest.
list, too, that didn't end up so hot either, so I
Yeah.
think a few of us had some missteps
We have a
in
guest
terms of
on.
our drafting.
So if we could introduce Josh here.
Hi, Josh.
Hey, guys.
Josh is a fantastic local community member of ours, good friend of ours. We mentioned him on the cast before. He is our local 3D printing wizard, has made tons of different things for us, and came up with the idea for our local draft tournament that we did last Sunday. Welcome, Josh.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, it's been definitely overdue of getting you on here, and
Yes.
and there's definitely no better reason. The draft was a ton of fun. I can say just kind of as the quickest of summaries, definitely a format I would do again. And I'm excited to dive in.
It was a blast. I had a great time.
It was fantastic, and the day was it was spontaneous just to come up with it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
I
the
think
best part.
we've
That was the best.
casually mentioned a draft. I know Titus has been on it, like mentioning it a few times, like even since like first year.
Yeah, we started on it at the end of the first year. It was like, okay, we have enough now.
Yeah,
I don't think we did in hindsight.
No, I think I think it would have been a showdown draft rather than a premier draft if we had done it then. But I think it is definitely now at the kind of that sweet spot where the format really worked. It was a ton of fun for an off event. But Josh, I'll pass it over to you. Do you want to kind of just give a recap? I know we touched on it as we were preparing for it, but do you just want to run over how the draft was done?
Yeah, so Titus and I actually were spitballing ideas early in the year, which is kind of just resonating in my head. We wanted to do a day of gaming, and this felt like the best opportunity. We had our core group showing up for the event, so it was the perfect time to test this out. As you said, premier event. We have 42 primaries now, which meant each of us could easily take 4 primaries, a whole bunch left over, and even included a ban list of which primaries did we not want to see.
Yeah, this turned into something because all I wanted to do, I just wanted to do a casual game day, and then you kind of ran with this, buddy, and it turned out, like we said, really, really good.
Yeah, I kind of hijacked your day, but
No, you didn't.
I think everyone was pretty happy about it.
You hijacked it in the best possible way. That's why I didn't say anything. I just let him run with it. I've been organizing stuff all year. Just can do one.
Yeah, and it was a blast.
That was great.
100%. So we rolled off for draft order. Once that was solidified, we went through from the bottom of the draft to the top on everyone picking bans. Josh, I think you went first and banned the Mandalorian right off the hop, which was definitely a bit of a surprise. But then I think the rest of them kind of fell into the usuals that you would expect in a ban process. And I think it just adding in this ban, it kind of just opened up the format wide open for me. Coming from the last few events that I've been able to do have been just very competitive focused. This was a very nice palate cleanser of just some fun Shatterpoint by the time we went over this. But we're going to talk about kind of the choices we made as we went through that draft.
Well, now that we have Josh on here, I want to know, and I want everyone else to know, why you banned the Mandalorian.
So the reason why I banned Mandalorian for one reason only was because of Kyle. He has continuously said because of how versatile Mando can be in any list, it actually kind of locks a lot of lists out by not being able to choose him.
Wow,
I'm
I really
very
thought you
surprised.
chose the Mandalorian just to screw Ryan over.
I mean, that was a perfect side effect of it, but I have no complaints. But I knew everyone would be taking the obvious boss, Cassian. I figured someone out of spite of you, Kyle, would pick Obi, which
Which happened
obviously
in the
did
next
happen.
one.
We had that covered.
Yeah.
I
So I
picked Obi.
figured I could pick one of the usuals, or let's go for a wild card and kind of throw everyone for a loop. And it was perfect because everyone's reaction was pure shock.
Yeah, and I think looking back on the draft as well too, and what everybody ended up picking, I actually think the Mandalorian would have been a very strong choice. Actually,
I would have taken it in a heartbeat.
to be honest with you, yeah, like I think hindsight, my Mother Talzin and Vader 2 idea really didn't go all that great. I think I maybe I would have liked the Mandalorian instead of Vader, just kind of in the mix.
As soon as I had Chirpa and no other Ewoks, I would have taken Mandalorian.
Mandalorian would have been very good, yes.
He would have been
very
great in that
strong
list.
for you.
I think everyone would have taken Mando in one of their lists.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it ended up being almost in my opinion, the perfect pick.
Yeah, and again, to your point, it's super safe, right? And you could draft Mandalorian first, and then no matter what someone takes, you've got an option by the time it gets back to you.
Yeah, he's so versatile
Yeah.
that you can go, play anything.
Like, even with the new stuff coming, one of the options right out the gate is pair it with Mando.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, so
like
that
it.
final draft list, just to cover it quickly: Mando, General Kenobi, Jedi Hunter Vader, Cassian, Kanan, and Boss. I think I was second last on the bans, and I ended up having to ban Boss for myself. Which I was very surprised that no one had done it beforehand.
Yeah, well, nobody wanted him around, but he also wasn't like the big scary thing.
Yeah,
He could have been.
could have
But
been.
we also trusted
been
you
if
to
it
have
went-
some restraint.
I don't
some
have
direction.
restraint. That's not. I wish I did.
I mean, listen, I think we all ended up going in very fun directions. A lot of us went in directions that we played stuff that either we hadn't played before or we had played very little of, right?
Yeah.
Like I continued kind of my enjoyment of playing Han, and I picked Charming Leia, who I've never really played before at all. Like I think I may played her once casually, so I put myself out there quite a lot with my picks.
I got Ewoks on the table for the first time.
Yeah.
Kyle chickened out on taking Ewoks for the first time.
I took Ewoks. Every single
Ewoks?
model in my list had the Ewok tag.
Yeah. But how many of them have fur?
Wicket.
And you got all your Ewoks
Wicket. I
painted
had
too.
Wicket. Logray was there too. Two of them.
Yeah,
Two of them
that's
had
fair.
fur.
There you go. So,
Titus, go ahead.
do we want to go over just what we had real quick so that people have context if they haven't listened to the last episode we did on this earlier?
Yeah. Let's run through. I think first round, Ryan picked armor as his first pick. Then it was me up next, and I was having fun. And I was actually targeting things I wanted to get painted. Spoiler alert, I didn't actually achieve that goal. But I was actually choosing things based off models I had built that I hadn't painted yet, was actually the strategy I went in with. And Freedom Fighter Leia was my first choice. And I figured that gave me pretty safe options of like, I want to go Ewoks, but in case they're gone by the time I get back, I can just go Rebels.
So I was after Kyle, and I picked Thrawn because I knew Sean would take Thrawn, and I wanted Thrawn. So if I was going to get him, I had to be my first pick.
Womp womp. And we'll talk about how I got my revenge our first game.
Yes. And then Sean, you were after me.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, and I picked Han, General Han.
You've been playing a lot of lately, so that
I've been
was
trying
no
to play and
surprise.
get better with him.
He
So
is
yeah,
a real fun primary.
he was real good.
But then we had Brandon, who does anyone remember what his first pick was?
He went Hondo.
Hondo. Okay, yeah, that sounds right.
I thought it was
And then
Riff
finally-
first.
Sorry,
I thought Riff was first.
it was one or the other.
He went Hondo before Riff
Okay.
because he
yeah.
knew it was coming right back to him.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we had Josh, who was the end of the Serpentine.
Basically
got two
getting
picks in a
back to
row.
backs.
Yeah.
And because I've been on the train, been playing for a while, I went after Padme, which I think shocked you guys that I grabbed Padme, and then bit out of spite, I picked Ahsoka, which immediately triggered Titus.
Yeah, I was bitter. I will say it wasn't so much surprising you picked Padme. It was surprising you picked her first. Because in my head, I was like, okay, I know Josh is probably going to want to take that because you've been playing her a lot. I don't think anyone else was looking at Padme, though, so it probably would have been safe to leave for a later pick.
Yeah.
I don't know
it
what
was something that I wanted to play, so I just went,
Yep.
why not? It's fun.
makes total
Lock
sense.
it in. Makes sense.
So then Brandon took Riff, or vice versa, whatever it ended up being. But I think that sounds right.
Yeah, by the end of it, yeah, he had Rando, Riff, and Hondo.
Yeah. Sean, what'd you take second?
I took Princess Leia, Charming Leia.
I took Chirpa.
And why did you take Chirpa, Tay? Sorry, I'm not judging
'Cause
my
it-
co-host decisions. I forgot.
We're just
Chirpa
twisting the knife a little bit.
Chirpa looked fun. I've been talking about Ewoks for a while. Kyle keeps telling me I would like Ewoks, so I
It's
was
true.
like,
I stand by that.
you know what? This is one of the few revenge triggers that is still around between Sean taking Han and then TLC being taken and then some other stuff being off the table. I was like, you know what? Chirpa looks fun. Let's go with Chirpa.
So in choosing Chirpa, did you forget that I took Leia in the first run, or did you think I was going Rebels?
I put no consideration to what you picked.
Okay, great.
To be perfectly honest, I probably would have gone low gray if I had thought about it, because I'm not convinced you would have taken Chirpa, but
Ooh, I don't know. I think I might have still, but
maybe.
I would have thought about it for sure.
Yeah. So like it probably would have been smarter to go low gray first, but Chirpa was the one I was excited about, so that's what I picked. Then
Who's
Kyle,
next?
you screwed me
Who's me?
over.
Yeah, so I took low gray here because that was what I went in hoping to play. Left Titus with a single Ewok primary and no obvious pairing. And then Ryan, I think, grabbed
This is
Iden.
Iden pick. Yeah, this was his Iden pick. Yeah.
He grabbed Grievous, then he grabbed Iden because he had back-to-back at this point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, he grabbed Grievous and grabbed Iden.
So then going back to Kyle.
Back to me. So lots left available on the table at this point. I was actively, again, I went in with the idea that I wanted to grab some stuff I wanted to paint. There was a lot of Republic left on the table, and I hemmed and hawed over this one quite a while because, like, Kiadi was still there, who I'm still a little surprised wasn't one of the band choices. Like, Anakin was available, and I'm like, there is a lot of really good Republic options here that even if I grabbed Kiadi and people intentionally tried to stop me going through, there's still going to be something left. But there was also still a lot of Empire sitting available. I had a ton of fun at a recent event playing Grand Inquisitor, so I grabbed Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I wasn't worried about the Republic because I just knew a lot of us were tired of playing Republic since the GT season.
Yeah.
So, like, if somebody picked up Kiadi, it would have been like, oh, well, I let it happen, but whatever.
Yeah. I
Fair
think
enough.
we were all just fairly off at that point.
Yeah. So my next pick was me scrambling to try to find a pairing for Chirpa, completely forgetting that Thrawn was also a problem I had because Chirpa was the more pressing one. I ended up taking Fulcrum because she was one of the few more generic picks left that could also take Ewoks. Because a lot of my go-to generic picks are all Clone Wars units. You know, you got like Lumi, Ahsoka 1, who was picked, and then Maul are all kind of like my more generic go-tos, and none of them could take Ewok. Never played Fulcrum before. Let's try it.
Awesome.
Sean.
And it was down to me. I picked Mother Talzin on my next pick. A model that I hadn't played before, and I think with the ban list specifically and the way that the draft was going, I think had a lot more play and a lot less oppressiveness against her. So that's why I picked her up.
Yeah, I think this was a perfect meta for Talzin to walk into. I think perfectly safe for that. You also very much had to lock down on revenge triggers at this point.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, I had 3.
It was
the most
Sean
other-
and then I think me and Josh with one revenge
With
trigger
one.
each.
Yeah. Cool. I think Brandon grabbed Cad here.
Yep.
Asajj.
Oh,
Was
Saj.
Asajj here?
Yeah, Cad got left till the last.
Interesting.
Yeah,
And then Josh, what did you grab for your last pass?
So
through?
this time, I kind of not because I grabbed 2 female primaries. I figured, no, let's stick with a theme, and I end up going Jin and Hera, and just went, no, what? Cool, I'll play Gore Prowler for the weekend.
Jin and Hera is a cool combo.
I was
too,
gonna say, to be honest, I'm still thinking about that Jin Hera combo, and I know it was specifically called out for anyone that caught the last episode. Michael Plummer called out that that's a list he's been playing just casually as well, and I'm very curious about that combo because the weakness Hera typically has in that case is that her abilities are very expensive to continue paying for, and Jin definitely helps out a lot there, adding in a few healing aspects as well. So like I'm very curious.
Definitely something I want to explore more. The healing on that list was incredible.
I like it. And then yeah, Brandon grabbed Asajj for the last pick or Cad for the last pick. One of the two on the way back.
No, it was definitely Cad last.
Yeah,
It was Cad because I got real upset because I wanted Cad with.
Yep.
You were gonna go Talzin Cad.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. And then it would have been me on the way back, right?
Yep.
So this is where hindsight, I made a bit of a fumble. It was very much in between. I was going to pick Maul to go with Talzin. I also think Maul would have been a very kind of safe pick here. Would have been problematic if I ran into Ryan just because of her identity, but I think Maul would have been really, really good to pair with Talzin, but I decided to do a little hate drafting here and remove some options for Kyle, which it didn't seem to matter anyway, so I grabbed Vader 2.
Yeah,
But
so
I
I think
should have grabbed Maul.
there's a collection of choices that were made here. First of all, I think outside of the bands, your choice here was kind of the first that was like, oh, I want to mess with someone else rather than I want to pick a choice. And to be honest, next time we do this is something that I think we need to be thinking about earlier. As we go through this. But yeah, so you knew you had Titus in between us. Titus had Thrawn that didn't have a pairing.
Yeah.
And Moff Gideon was also still available on the board. And I think you made an assumption here that if you took the Vader pick, that Titus was going to take that Moff pick.
Like a sane person.
Yeah, because Thrawn Moff, right? But
Thrawn Moff is great.
Titus be Titus, and
yeah.
you know.
So
You left the most obvious choice for him.
Yeah, I was blinded by the combo potential with Lando. And I went, I've been playing a lot of CT. I've been playing a lot of Veer. Those are what people are going to expect me to pick. You know, Moff is really good, and I don't necessarily want to play good things, because why would you play good things, right? So Lando it was, and the results were predictable, but I had fun with it, so...
I'm glad you had fun with it.
Yeah.
So it comes back to my pick, and I grab Moff, which leads me to having GI Moff for my pairing, and then Ryan for the last pick, grabbed Maul.
Which
He just wanted to kill stuff.
He had such a lethal bunch of primaries, like...
Yeah, so he was the most aggro of the group, I would say.
Just Iden, Grievous, both have insane killing potential, and then Maul
too
is just like the most aggro Mando combo that you got. So like, yeah,
Grievous kind of ended up the odd man out here, but Ryan and I chatted a lot about the list options, and I think the original idea was going to be, I think he went through a couple of iterations. You know, it for a bit was Armor Iden, having Iden as just this missile and all Mandos for the rest of the list, which I don't think would have been bad.
Okay, interesting.
And then Grievous Maul with droids. I think tried that Grievous Maul pairing a couple times, wasn't super happy with it. So then kind of just flipped to, okay, we know Armor Maul is good, all Mandos. And then kind of do that same thing, but Grievous took Third Sister and Fifth Brother. So Grievous was just this missile added to otherwise a solid Empire list. So
yeah, which ended up being a really good way to kind of make the best out of a weird draft pairing. Like it worked really well, because like you got the Empire stuff doing well, and then Grievous can just kill things. Like,
yeah, I think the nice thing about all of those primaries is every single one of them is just a missile on their own.
Yep.
And you kind of just can build whatever you want under them and get the synergy from other places.
And that's what my Talzin ended up being. Like I had Fourth Sister, Fifth Brother under Talzin with a revenge trigger and a really, really good damage forward attack, ranged attack. So that's where mine ended up as well too in terms of my Empire pairing.
Yeah, I had fun. Leia Logray ended up, looking like a pretty typical Leia Logray. I played Wicket as the secondary under Logray. For GI Moff, I took both Inquisitor supports. So I took Fourth Sister and Fifth Brother. Honestly, super happy with it. list turned out great. I played the Ewoks twice and the Empire list once. Josh, I think it was you that had to suffer that Inquisitor list.
Yes. I ended up being the one that, in hindsight, should have picked in Hera, but I decided, oh, let's go familiar and picked Padme Ahsoka.
Yeah, I found Han and Charming Leia were not the best pairing. I didn't find. I think I would have rather had a more aggro primary beside him. I mean, obviously Cassian is the best one, but obviously he got banned. I would have liked to have had maybe Jin, or maybe I should have taken Fulcrum Ahsoka beside him. But it was okay. It wasn't the best pairing, I don't think.
I don't know. I've played that pairing a few times and it's fast.
Yeah, okay.
Like it is just a ton of mobility. No, you're not getting it of Cassian where your supports are just hitting above their weight class every time.
Yeah.
But nothing else is going to do that.
Yeah. So for my part, I had one really simple list to build, which was the Ewoks. It was just put as many Ewok tags in there as I can and slot Fulcrum at the head, because Chirpa really needs that Ewok tag to be effective. And the more I read Paploo, the more I'm like, you know what? I think she's actually a lot better now than she was before, because expertise has gotten better. And she steals the opponent's expertise. Plus, Ewoks expose everything, even without Leia. And I'm very shocked by how easy it was to put conditions on everything.
I was gonna say, you were putting out a lot of conditions throughout.
Oh, it was insane. We'll get to that in a minute. The hard one to build was Lando Thrawn, because kind of with how that combo works, you want to be really reckless with your primaries. Thrawn runs forward, Lando runs forward. You want them to get wounded as soon as possible, because you want to have as much force as possible when one of them gets wounded. Because then Thrawn shuffles the deck and Lando goes, I have 4 force left in the deck. So as a revenge trigger, essentially, I'm putting conditions on anything on your list that I want. That's hard to do, but it kind of told me, okay, I want things that don't spend a lot of force. Thrawn, I knew I wanted the Dark Troopers with him because that's one of the best Empire synergies I can get it in a support body. And then Stormtrooper Sergeant was just kind of, he's a 3-pointer. I need a 3-pointer.
And a
For
decent
Lando,
one.
yeah. For Lando, I wanted at least 2 scoundrels in the list, and since Thrawn didn't have any, that kind of pigeonholed me there. But, my own rule, I could have just gone full Empire, but I wanted scoundrels to make use of Lando's tag synergies. So I went Weequay Pirates. I think they're real good getting some of that Empire stuff, and they were actually probably my best support in the list. And then I put Boba Fett because everyone keeps saying he's great, and I don't believe them, but I believe in testing things out before I really squash it. And
You were not happy with him at the end of the day.
no, well, so here's my thing on Boba Fett. He's good until he gets wounded. And the game that I played against Sean, the Rebel Commandos came and one-turned him first activation.
Yep, that was wild.
Boba Fett had a real bad game, but when it costs my entire force pool to use all his abilities, that's to be expected, because having 4 force is already rough. And then Boba Fett, yeah. So it was a fun list. I really liked it. I would not put it on the table for anything vaguely competitive, but I got to do the thing. Sean wounded, I think it was Thrawn, about midway through the first deck, and I had the full 4 force. I got to condition up all his stuff, and I got to feel cool because I did my combo.
Nice.
Beat me 2-0, but I did the thing.
You did
that's
the
what's
thing.
important.
Yeah.
No, Titus,
it was very...
I think you and I walked away from the day with kind of the same conclusion of, well, I want to play Ewoks more than I have.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I had a ton of fun with the low gray Leia list as well.
Yep. Chirpa seemed real good. All the Ewoks seemed real good. Fulcrum was honestly the disappointment to me. She just kind of goes to a point, maybe hits something, and then holds the point. Which, yeah, she's good at holding a point, but Mando would do it better. Logray would be way better in this list.
Yeah, there's just so much stuff that just almost just nearly obsoletes her, unfortunately, and it's a shame because she's cool. She's a cool character.
Josh, you played the Padme Ahsoka list you've been running for a bit. Do you want to run through that list?
Yeah, so with Padme, I have Pawns and 7 Scorch. With Ahsoka, I took Wolf and Commandos. So a list I've been playing for the past, I guess, month and a half. Getting quite familiar with it. Gets where it wants to go. Great at opening up of trying to, especially on Never Tell Me the Odds, of always making sure I have the 3 most closest objectives to my setup.
Having a forward deploy option in Republic is a very nice thing to have access to. Thank you.
Especially with Seven Scorch.
Especially with Seven Scorch. Yeah, I think that makeup of a list, and I think you have some primary flexibility there, but I think both add some great options to this. It's nice to see pawns have a home, and I think this kind of list makeup really works. You know, Josh, you and I have had the conversation several times, and I'm like, that should be the 212th and not the Commandos. But you can keep hating the 212th.
It's all right. I'd agree with you, but then we'd both be wrong.
Wow.
Awesome.
Public things.
Overall, from my side, was an incredibly fun day. I think this, as a format, has some actual legs now that we have the primary count to back it up. I walked away from this of like, I will absolutely do this again. And for anyone thinking and looking, maybe I'll run something similar. It takes one person with a complete collection or a collaborative complete collection, but because of there's no duplicated primaries, everything just needs to be there once, and then we were able to list build as we wanted. Anyone else have any takes from just how overall feel for the format, the event?
I really liked specifically doing the draft in person with everybody there,
Yes.
having physical cards to pick up, because it was a social event. We got to snipe each other's picks out from under each other. You got to trash talk and stuff, and like the draft itself was a game.
Yes.
And that part's a lot of fun. Highly recommend it if you have a group of 4 to 8 players. It doesn't seem like a lot, but like if you can at all get everybody together, it's a great way to do it.
It gave the whole thing a little bit of a starting anticipation. Like it got foot on the gas a little bit. The one thing that I really liked, and I talked to Kyle about it, that I really loved, is that nobody had the same list. Right? You go to a regular tournament, and you're playing against
You end up with mirror matches.
A lot of the same stuff, right? Mirror matches, that kind of thing, right? With a draft, you're never gonna have a mirror match. So it made it really fresh and interesting games, no matter what opponent you were playing against.
It's also cool having information on what everybody's playing, but not having full information. So like
Yes.
know what the primaries are, so you can kind of tech for certain people, but you don't know what the full list is. Like,
And that-
for example, Kyle's with the Leia Logray. He could have easily gone full, like, true Ewoks, or gone full Rebels, or any mix in between.
Yeah.
And, like, you could try to plan for that, but there's still a lot of wiggle room within that.
And that's why I'd like to keep it actually just primary draft only, because then some of the chatter was, well, you should do secondaries and supports. And it's like, well, then what everybody has, right? So it takes away some of that mystery, like you just said, Titus, about how people are going to build things out.
Yeah, I think it
and,
also
like,
still
is
leaves some fun for list building, right? Like, and being able to take that back, especially in those situations where you had kind of an awkward primary pairing. I think it would be a real feels bad if you ended up like Titus, if you ended up with Thrawn Lando and didn't have full control over what goes under them.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
So I think there is something to be said for the full draft. If you are a community that really likes the draft aspect of it, I personally think that sounds like a lot of fun doing that. You're right that you do lose some control. I feel like if you wanted to do a full draft, you probably would have to get rid of the ban, and everybody drafts more than what you actually need. That way you can kind of you could pick up missing things, or if somebody cuts off an option, you still have some flexibility.
Yeah. Nah, I think like for me, and I know this was asked in the Discord when we originally posted about it too, I think the ban round is a crucial part for this working.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would not do this without the ban round.
For sure, especially when you're doing just primaries. Like it was kind of an offhanded thing that we just suggested, and it's like, yeah, let's throw this in. But I think it made the experience way better.
Yes. Josh, I guess you drafted the whole thing up. Drafted. I see what I did there. Anything you would change or tweak for another run?
I think I would love to try it as an 8-player, because by the end of it, there will only be 2 primaries that won't be touched. And especially with ban lists, be a little bit more changes. Other than that, I don't think I would change it. only twist I would maybe do is halfway through for third and fourth picks is maybe re-roll for a different order. Switch it up to give it a twist.
That would be fun. I would like that.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. I'm definitely in agreement on the 8, because if you had 8 with, again, and fits perfectly with our current quantity of primaries, but to your point, with 2 remaining, and when you get near the end, you're making a lot tighter choices, which definitely adds a spice level to it, right?
Yes.
And then you end up with poor CT sitting on the table and with whoever else.
Unless Titus is part of your draft and you know he's going to go for him.
And then anything's an option.
Yeah, he's just gonna go buck wild Titus.
He would do something
I
crazy
won't
like
be
CT
doing-
Lando.
I won't be doing Lando and Thrawn again, I'll tell you that.
Thank goodness.
Awesome. Well, I can say confidently this will not be our last time talking about this format. I am very confident we're going to run a similar thing again, and we'll do the same thing. We'll, post our choices in the Discord, chat about it, because it was a ton of fun. Anyone listening that's like, yeah, you want something that's a little, off the beaten path for Shatterpoint, I highly, highly recommend giving this a shot if you've got, kind of that sweet spot of people to run this with.
Yeah. And if you want a more detailed breakdown of how to run it, feel free to send one of us a message. Like, it's not a problem.
Just one of my favorite highlights of this draft was the fact of I showed up to our game night early. I laid out all the primaries and everyone showed up was like a kid at Christmas going, is this all our primaries?
Everybody was surprised.
Yeah,
Seeing them
there
all
you go.
laid out cards on the table was definitely a cool part of the experience.
Yes, it was.
Awesome. Well, that was the draft. Again, super fun day of games, super cool format. Really happy to just try something new. And I think that combined, we didn't touch on recent games played, but as a group, I know Josh, us with Ryan played Legendary Encounters, which was a ton of fun to get on the table. We talked about that a little bit last week. Titus, you and I got a key operations game in last week. Yeah, that's how time works.
It was Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday last week, which again was nice to get that on the table. I think looking at the grand scale of, we've got Legendary Encounters, we've got key operations, we've got this draft format that we've tried. It has just been really fun to play around with some alternative formats for Shatterpoint that aren't just looking at the current competitive meta and GT practice. For me, it's been an important palate cleanser after a heavy competitive season, and I just honestly thank you guys for it's a nice reminder that playing is for fun and has been a ton of fun.
Yeah,
It's been good having fun with Shatterpoint again.
Yeah.
I would echo that too, because we were in a lot of the discourse and that kind of stuff, and a lot of people are just maybe feeling burnt out right now. Take the plunge into some of this other stuff. They'll show you a different side of the game. And then take Christmas off or something like that, and then come back refreshed with a new mindset when the January events and GT start popping up again.
Yeah, even just to add to that spice mix, Sean, you've been getting a few games here and there with Jeremy too, and we've got some new blood in the local group too, and I think teaching a new player and introducing a new player also is a really great kind of grounding experience almost.
Mm-hmm. Sure is.
It's been a while since we were new at this.
Just learn the basics, understanding shoves and angles and whatnot.
100%. With that, so just a heads up for everybody listening, this will be our last episode for the year, and we didn't want to wrap that up without talking about the year. So we're going to go through and talk about, some highlights of Shatterpoint in 2025 for us, some highlights from the podcast, and again, really excited. We mentioned Josh on the cast a lot, so really happy that he's here to kind of share in this year of Shatterpoint, because I think any event we were possibly going to talk about here, Josh has been there with us, was planning, getting terrain up. So I couldn't think of a better person to have here with us to discuss our year in Shatterpoint.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So we also put out the question to our Discord community, a few different questions, but the main one we wanted to focus on was just what was everybody's highlights for the year. We're definitely not going to be able to go through everybody's, but we're going to pick some of these out of here and read them out.
Yeah, so I asked in the 4 main questions here, what was your top highlight of the year for the game? What was your favorite release? Did you play in any organized play or GT events? How did they go? And what was your favorite episode of Coordinated Fire and why? For me, Avery, highlight of the year is a rules update. I think we all agree on that one. Really fantastic from top to bottom. And then just hitting on his favorite episode. He's unsure of a favorite episode, but he says that he enjoys the episodes where you get really into mechanical things like deployment, mission layout, etc. I know that's something that we've talked about more, doing more individualized aspects of the game, like when we did the order deck and missions and all that kind of stuff. I think that's something that we all really enjoy to do, and it's great evergreen content that people can come back to, or if you're a new player, can get that in for the first time.
Yeah, for me, I know like those are my favorite episodes to prep for too, because I think it is just fun to explore and look back again. I think there's things we take for granted, right? That we just know to a level of almost intuition when it comes to why we make the choices we make and how we do that. And I think taking a step back and looking at, how did I learn this? How did I get comfortable with this? And being able to share some of that stuff is super cool. So it definitely an episode style that we're going to do more of, and I'm excited to tackle.
Yeah, because Shatterpoint, we've always said, is like easy to play, hard to master. And I think when a new player comes into the game, like a Jeremy, right, learning the very particular fine-tuned things that we have over 2 years, just to have an episode like that out there that somebody can just reference, but even before they get a game in, I think is super important.
Yeah, and I think we've said this a bunch of times. Shatterpoint's pretty unique. Even if you have a ton of miniature experience, if you take what you know from 40K or even MCP as the closest comparison game, both of those games really reward just going in and killing things.
Yes.
Shatterpoint, that's not necessarily gold. Don't get me wrong, there's strategies to make that work, but it's first and foremost bodies on point. And there's a lot in this game that can punish going in and wounding things.
Yeah, that was really my change of perspective in the game too. I talked about this before on the episodes, Kyle. I really tried to take your perspective of less can be more in this game, right? You don't always have to attack. You don't always have to go for extra damage or go for a wound, right? And sometimes it's not the opportune time. Sometimes it's not the correct move to do. So
yeah, I think to the questions in the Discord, Dylan was the first to respond. Also highlighted the May update. I think that's going to be a common theme that we see, because I think it really is the highlight of the year for Shatterpoint. He highlighted the GTs he went to, and it's going to be a big one for me, for my highlights of the year too. But the episode he picked out was the one about running episode 19, where we walked through hosting and running a GT from application process to day of on the ground. And honestly, that is one of my favorites that we've put out. And it has a very specific audience. If you have no interest in running a tournament, then maybe it isn't for you, and that's totally okay. But I think it's content that isn't really out there for those looking to do that kind of for the first times. And that's the kind of stuff that I love getting out. And Sean, it was great to have your expertise for that one.
Yeah, and I think that's a good episode too. Again, somebody that's just curious, and they may not think that they want to run a GT, but the GTs, as we put in that episode, can be a great way to bring your community together, get those exclusive promos and cards and dice out there that you want your community to have, right? So even if you just do it one time and everybody gets a lot of cool stuff, I think that's even worth it at the lower level.
100%.
People go crazy for those dice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Got to get those purple dice.
Yeah.
now it's the Reds apparently.
So I wanted to highlight a couple highlights that people had. First, I wanted to pick up was Eric's. He was saying that he just loved playing all bounty hunters for the first time after the era change, when CAD got moved to all eras, which I think though that was a very popular change. Like, it was something everybody was very hyped for when it happened, and it was towards the beginning of the year, so kind of fell by the wayside, but it's still a really cool thing that we can do now, is just play CAD everywhere. He's still
agree.
very flexible.
Yes.
Like, it's great. Another one was Alex from the Kitchener-Waterloo Wargaming Guild, just hit on the hobbying side, getting his train set fully painted, and trying new techniques on it. Like, that's something that I like. Seeing a fully painted terrain set, it's always a big wow factor. And we don't talk about it a whole lot in terms of when we're remembering events and whatnot. But I know when you walk into that building and there's a table set up with just amazing terrain, it's a big part of the experience.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone who jumped in and shared some stuff. I think, it's really cool that, yes, there were some common themes. One, as I'm scrolling through, everyone really liked the Krennic box.
Yeah, I was
going to
surprised.
say that, yes, to Deploy the Garrison came up when I asked about favorite release. Yes.
Many times, which is cool. And honestly, like, that's one that I haven't even really played around with. I played a lot of Rift. I've played a lot of Delta.
You should try it. It's fun.
I
It's a
should.
great box.
It's again,
It's a great box.
we're baby steps into Empire right now. I gotta dip the toes in, you know.
Yeah.
It was a great year. It was a great year. I think the May update obviously came up quite a few times, but for me, and I think I can't imagine anyone else has a different thought here, but that update was equivalent to getting 10 new squad packs at once, which is more content than AMG could ever possibly keep up with from a release standpoint, you know. And I would take that over a couple new boxes every single time. And that might be a hot take here.
I was just going to say, I agree. I think that update was actually underappreciated. That's
and
my
I think
hot
it's
take.
universally loved. Yes.
Like loved, but like underappreciated in the effect that you just said that it had. Like now that we're at the end of the year, we don't have many releases. I think we can go back to that May update and say that it did a lot more.
It shook things up like crazy.
Yeah,
It did. I still have lists saved. Like, again, we're closer to a year away from it than we are to it. And I still have lists on my phone that I haven't had a chance to get on the table yet and try, that I still want to from things that changed in that update. You know, you touched on it. The era changes on like CAD and Hondo opened up so many options for these primaries that kind of felt stuck before.
I still want to do more with Hondo. He's
yes,
almost there in terms of being flexible. His points make it rough,
but super exciting. So yeah, I think we can go to we're going to grab 3 to 5 highlights each on what our high points were for the year. I think it's going to align to a lot of things that were that were shared already in the Discord, but excited to share our own. Do we want to just each do ours, or do we want to go one by one and round table it?
I think one by one sounds like more fun.
All right, then Josh, you can get us started.
So one of my biggest highlights was actually at your event, TVO, of day one, finishing at the top. Something completely unexpected, but with great practice with you guys, it got me there.
Yeah, you went undefeated day one of the Tablebound Open, which was super cool, and congrats. And that was an interesting point for the game. We were trying to think of timelines here. We were just before the rebalance. But Cassian had just come out.
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody was like ho hum on the fact that we didn't have rebalance yet, but we're excited about Cassian, and Cassian was the man of that event.
Yeah, I think he was released a week and a half before the event, something like that.
Yes, and everybody was super hyped.
And First Contact made its first appearance.
Yes.
I think
which
that
caused a little bit of controversy at that event.
did.
We won't go into it, but
well, it was again. It's definitely, if you haven't had practice on it, it was a new experience. But yes, that was, as going into the TO of that event, there was some interesting calls that had to be made. I think that was the first time that it had come up that someone asked, "How does Cassian's trigger work at the end of the game?" And
sorry.
And had no idea, and just had to make a call in the moment. We definitely had some First Contact games that were going to time, due to, again, I think now we know with some practice and time that, struggles 2 and 3, you really want to take 2, get a wound, and slow roll your way through them rather than flipping a bunch. But I'm pretty sure there was a game that I remember watching the last 20 minutes of that flipped struggles well into 8-9 times, which again is it's some learnings. But we were very new into that mission going into this event. The people that took it definitely did not have practice on it either. Yeah, TBO was great. It was a great event. We hit 31 players.
31.
Yep. 31. Yep.
Yeah. Which is super cool to see.
Still maintains the highest attended event in Ontario.
All right, we're going to break it this year.
Yeah, I sure hope so. We almost did with the GT, and then drops put us just below the threshold.
Yeah, it's all good. We'll do it this year.
Titus has to defend his spot.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. Honestly, it still feels like a fluke.
I'm definitely excited for that. Based on my screen, we'll go around, I guess, counterclockwise for reasons. No, that's clockwise. Titus, I'll go to you.
I can't see your screen, so I'll take your word for
Titus,
it.
it's you.
Okay, so I have actually numbered mine, so I'm gonna go with like the lowest to the highest. And my number 5 is making Nadar a respected member of the community. There's very few units where I feel like I can take personal credit for it, but Nadar, I think there's like myself and like maybe 1 or 2 other people in the community that really like mastered playing him and gotten to the point where he does well enough that people are like, oh, okay, you know what? He can do stuff. He's not trash tier completely.
Yeah.
I would agree. Yeah, you popularized Nadar this year to the point where your name specifically came
Yeah.
up with that model in other podcasts.
Yeah.
So
and like I've had
congratulations.
people message me asking how to play him.
Yep.
And nothing is more flattering than getting direct messages from people being like, hey, this unit that no one else plays, how do you do that? Because that just shows like, okay, people, you've done well enough that people are taking notice. And that feels great.
So much so that I fell into the trap of like, Titus is doing really well with this. I want to try Nadar. And wow, no, I don't. Never again.
It's a Titus
It
thing
took a lot of
exclusively.
practice. It took a lot of practice. And he doesn't, to be fair, he does not play well into your play style, Kyle. And I knew that as soon as you picked him up. I'm like, you're
Yeah.
not going to like him.
No,
You're not going to like it.
No, thank you. Sean, how about you?
I want to talk about community growth, and particularly the community growth that we saw within the Ontario scene this year. As we mentioned before, Tablebound Open and Force Convergence, we had our highest attended GT, and then of course the TBO, which is going to apply for GT this year. But I was really, really happy about that. And we really put a lot of time and effort into these events, and the community really reacted to that. There's a lot of excitement behind them, and really just to me shows that we have a number of marquee events. I want to shout out also the Battle for Breath as well too, that had about 25 or 26 there. I know a lot of the big events that are hyped up are in the US or some of the UK stuff. I am going to continue to advocate that we have some amazing events, not only in Ontario, when you look at what BC is doing as well too. I think our events are worth the travel if you're looking to do anything in 2026. And I am just super, super proud of everybody within our Ontario community.
100% and echoed. It's been really cool to see the growth. And
Yes.
for each one of those events, we saw definitive growth over what we did in 2024. And I was proud of that. And so it's been cool to see the continued growth. And that is with, there's always an ebb and flow of people trying a game, really excited about it, and maybe bounce to something else. You have your crowds that just kind of bounce game to game. That's normal. And I look at the crowd we had that was coming out to events in 2023 when Shatterpoint launched, and we ran the first few outside of people here, and Brandon, I guess, was there pretty early as well. For the most part, there's a lot of faces that aren't here anymore. And even with that kind of natural player attrition, we're still growing, which is super cool to see.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's my first one off the list.
For me, I'm going to go with kind of a couple releases that it was weird looking back, and I've actually played some releases that came out this year a lot more than I had thought, because there's definitely some staples that came out early that I've continued to play, and some stuff that came out last year. But from box releases, like Kiati Money came out this year, and it's been a long year, and I know that was super early, but I think Kiati sits in like my third most played primaries of all time at this point. It's been a really fun time discovering what that box can really do and pushing it to its limits. I took that to Adepticon, which will be another one of my points that I get to, but had a ton of fun with it there. It's a great box. I'm glad through the year there's been, I know we had some Anakin time. I've kind of been on the Vader train with Kiati since it came out, and post rebalance, and had a ton of fun with that. I think in there realized I really like Obi with Kiati in there, and just it's like that box has opened up Republic list building in really great ways, especially from the Jedi perspective, getting a bunch of lightsabers on the field, which is a ton of fun, and obviously Delta Squad, and ignoring any balance concerns when it comes to Delta thematically, that box is incredible. That squad feels like Delta Squad. I think there's a lot of comparisons you can make to how the Bad Batch box plays, which I also really liked on release. But Republic Commando is a favorite game of mine, and they just seeing these characters come alive in Shatterpoint was just super, super cool. So, and played a ton of both of those boxes.
I think it's really great with the May update, and then with those boxes that you said as well, Kyle, that Galactic Republic players, and I say this as a bit of a disgruntled Empire player right now, that Galactic Republic are getting their day in the sun, that we saw from where we were pre-balance of that faction essentially being driven into the ground by the oppressive Inferno Squad, and Galactic Republic players who, again, love those characters, the Jedis and all that kind of stuff, getting their time in the sun.
And clones just feel good on the table, and it's really
Exactly.
nice.
Yep. Yeah. So for a player like yourself, who I know was very, very frustrated pre-balance, it is good to hear you say these things and smile as a very loving Galactic Republic player.
And I don't know, after a decent amount of games with them at this point, I think GI and Moff have the sauce. I really do.
Going to the dark side. I like it.
All right, back to Josh.
Another highlight for me was the train, honestly. I think over the course of this year, I did a small calculation. I printed 13 different tables for our community in terms of train sets, and I was able to actually print up and paint fully 3 myself. So one of my best achievements, I think, was it just in a hobby perspective, and it's been a blast.
Your stuff looks great, bud.
That is
Appreciate
probably
it.
more
100%.
terrain than I've painted ever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
congrats.
Your stuff looks great. We know you put the effort into it. That's phenomenal.
And is much appreciated as
Yes.
falling into the group of trying to get terrain on tables for 30-something players.
It's nice as a TO for you to say, well, I say, hey, we need 12 tables for this GT, and Josh goes, yeah, I got 3. Like, that's a significant
5.
chunk, or you know what I mean? Like to have one person bringing a significant chunk of like 12 to 16 tables for a GT, it's a humongous help.
It is,
And then he
awesome.
comes in with something that looks like it's made for a movie set, and we're like, where do we even put this?
Make it spicy, put it down.
I think we had 2 locals where every table had a piece of train that I had at least printed for them.
which is awesome. Titus, over to you.
So my next one's kind of like boring, not because it's bad, but because we've talked about it at length. It's the rebalance. Shook things up, made it great for list building. Like everybody knows at this point that I love doing weird, janky lists, and there's no better time than when nobody knows what's happening.
Yep.
Nobody knows what everything is doing. Everything's got new abilities. So for me, it was a great time period.
So yeah, and we touched on it a ton throughout the episode, but like, what a game changer. And
Yep. And we're still discovering things now.
yes,
I think, there is a ton of discovery too, isn't it? And the complaints that are coming through that, oh, we don't have any releases until Q2 2026. I'll say to people, have you extinguished all the options and all the things that you want to play with out of the update? And a lot of the time, the answer is no.
So, like, in terms of the update is still going to have effects because you have the elite squad troopers who, yeah, they hit hard and stuff, but that supporting fire hunker going into Balin, it's going to have an effect.
It is going to be a thing. 100%.
Yeah, and it wouldn't have been if we never had that rebalance. Like, that is an effect of the rebalance that is far-reaching, at least like a year later.
It's going to be interesting.
And I do think there's definitely some stuff that's underrepresented, yet to be discovered. And again, especially as we get new releases, one of the things we talked about on the last episode was just every individual box we get at this point, with how much we have in the game, has so many things it can possibly play with, which is just super exciting.
Cool. My next one, since I think Kyle's going to probably hit on one that we both have on our list here, I'm gonna go with just starting the podcast.
Yeah.
Starting the podcast with Kyle and Titus, 2 guys that I consider great friends through gaming. This has been a journey. 28 episodes in, we have put in a lot of time and work and effort behind the scenes, and it's really nice to see the reaction that people have. The comments are always nice too. I'm glad that people are enjoying the type of content that we've made. and that we are going to continue to make. And I want to thank Kyle and Titus, you guys. When I first started this, I had very different perspectives on what I wanted it to be than the perspectives that I have now. And you guys helped change my thinking on a number of things. So I want to say thank you to both for doing that. And just to toss it, my favorite episode, in kind of encapsulating this, the hot take episode, I thought was a lot of fun. We had our buddy Todd on from Momentous Struggle, and that was a really, really fun episode, kind of highlight one for me. But overall, just starting this with two great friends, and I'm super appreciative to you.
Yeah, I loved that hot take episode. I'm not gonna lie. I was skeptical when you first brought up the idea. I was like, okay, that sounds fun. I don't know how much of an episode that'll be, but like, you know, it'll be a good
one.
like filler one. And it's become one of my favorites. So it was real good.
And thank you, Sean. Ditto to everything. This has been a super fun journey. I think has grown to a level that I don't think any of us quite expected when starting to do this thing.
200-300 people listening an episode. To toss that out there. Thank you, everybody, again. Like 200-300 people
and
listening.
And then you add in, there's across all the platforms, and that gets closer to 4. It's super cool to see. And it continues to grow. We get more people in the Discord. It gets more lively. It's funny because like you literally said it, and I'm like, oh yeah, we did start this year, because it wasn't even on my list. Because what is time? But it absolutely has been just incredible putting this together, and I think we've all kind of grown into a united idea into what we want this to be and what it has become, and that hits a really cool stride. So completely agree. 10 out of 10 would podcast again.
Yeah, like we've gotten big enough to where we've had bots join our Discord. Like we've made it, guys.
Clearly it's
there you go.
We have an audience that the bots want to get to.
Thank you, Dylan, for paying closer attention to that than the three of us.
Yeah,
sometimes
he's eagle-eyed. He picks it out like immediately.
Like 2 this week, he's like, this one, got it. This one, boom, got it.
Which is super appreciated.
Yeah. And as a weekly listener, I want to thank you 3 so much for the podcast. It's been great content from beginner to expert levels. It's been fantastic for our community.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate that.
Praise is my weakness.
Oh, I thought violence was your weakness, Kyle.
No, praise is my weakness.
You're the pacifist of the group, so like.
Yeah, Dylan learned this. It's a weird thing. On Sean, you mentioned on that hot take episode, which was one of my favorites too, was a ton of fun. That we had Todd come on. And I don't think we would have been able to do that if you and I didn't make the trip to Adepticon this year, which is definitely going to be my next highlight of the year. And honestly, even thinking about the fact that was this year is insane. But getting to go to Worlds, participate. Sean, I think by the end of it, you ended up top 32 and I hit top 16. Is that where that landed?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I lost my first one in top 32,
and then I lost to Cody in top 16.
Yes. Yep.
Which was man, that was kind of my first big lesson that events like that are as much of a skill test as an endurance test. After several days of gaming, and I thank you to Cody because one, that was an incredible game and not one of my cleanest, and that was a fun takeaway from that. And something.
Why didn't you dash the Padawan?
Why didn't I dash the Padawan? But that whole trip was amazing. And yes, playing Shatterpoint was fun. Participating in Worlds was a ton of fun. But more so than anything else, putting a ton of faces to names, getting to hang out with everyone, meet everyone in person was just absolutely an incredible experience. Adepticon is in a very high list for me of something to attend again. Unfortunately, Sean, you and I have discussed that it is not in the cards likely for 2026.
2027, I definitely think
2027
is in play.
Is in play for sure. And you know what? I say that right now, but I also went to BC on a whim. Well,
who knows? Yeah. And I love that trip too. Yeah. You took me out of my comfort zone driving. there. I wanted to fly, but you took me out of my comfort zone, so I appreciate that. And like you mentioned, the joint rogue support and momentous struggle party on the Saturday was phenomenal. And
It
again,
was.
just slamming beers with Todd and Aubrey and Cody and Matt and Accuser and everybody. Just what a phenomenal group of people we have in this community. Just really, really great.
Completely, yes. We'll go. That is one of the best trips I've taken in my life. I definitely won't forget that one, even if I do it, even if we go again. I think that one's definitely just a super cool moment in time. All right, Josh.
My next highlight is just the events that we've been to this year, just from our monthlies to our big events. I think I've hit every event except for Battle of the Breath this year, which I plan to hit upcoming in 2026.
Yep.
But just meeting new people, playing people that I've spoken to or have passed by other events, just playing all different levels of talent and seeing how much this community has grown as a whole. It's been fantastic.
Amazing.
Stamped,
Love it.
approved. And honestly, I think a lot of what keeps that connected is that, Shatterpoint Ontario group chat that we have, that I want to say thank you for everyone in the local community for listening that has had to migrate chats twice now because Facebook
it's been a lot more than
decides
that.
What an annoying thing that was.
Facebook decides to keep
Ay-yi-yi.
ruining our lives, but it still kept strong, still keeps active, which is just goes to show the passion from the community, right?
We're back over 200 people. So
Oh, nice.
we're essentially back to where we were pre having to move.
Nice.
Titus, over to you.
So my next one was just getting and then painting the 3D terrain that Josh had made for me, because so it was the Rapid Armored Transport and the crane from Imperial Terrain. So thank you to them for the STL files. Thank you to Josh for the expertise and work that goes into actually printing those. Seeing that the crane is fully like articulate and you can move it around and everything. It's not super great for when you have a point on it, but otherwise it's very cool. I was so enthused seeing it, and every time I still get it on the table, it's exciting because it's something that is just different and can fit a completely different vibe, but still is very usable for Shatterpoint. And I'm always a terrain enthusiast, even if I don't have necessarily the expertise to do it myself. I think every time I see a cool table, I get so excited.
Yes. Terrain is super cool. And yes, I also don't have the talent that goes into making those things to their best, but terrain is cool.
Me next, I would say coming in second place at the January GT at Torchlight. I went into this event with a backup plan of potentially buying a set of GT sticks from Kyle, and Kyle put his foot down and said, "No, Sean, you need to earn them."
Actually, I believe my quote, and we're gonna drop this, is "You're gonna fucking earn them, Sean."
All right, we're going PG-13 on that one. Yes. And I was lucky enough that I did. I mean, I understand and acknowledge that this was still Ayn at her top, and she was the menace. But I was also very much into playing Thrawn at this point as well, too, right? I wanted to be prepared for a lot of Kanan and whatnot. This was probably one of my hardest events because I ended up playing Greg, who hasn't been with us for a little bit, but still a phenomenal player. Went back to back Greg, and then into Dean, and then into Robert. So this was a bit of a gauntlet event for me, and I was super happy to be able to come in second place. Really well run. I think this was the event too that we realized that we wanted to run our big events at Torchlight.
Yes.
And this was like the impression, like they had opened that store, they were in the new space, and we were like, okay, this is where we're gonna go for our big stuff. So that store also left a great impression for us, and that's where I'll probably end up running Force Convergence and maybe the Telebell Mound Open in future years if it gets big enough. Yeah. Just fucking earning my sticks. This year was...
You did a great job at that event, and it was we were very happy for you. Wish you could have come first, but second place is still very good.
Yeah, we both ended up in the same record, I think, by the end of that, but you beat my strength of schedule because you definitely had the gauntlet. At that one, both of our losses were Dean, who I played in the last round. Was a great event, though.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Yep, absolutely.
And speaking of that exact circumstance, So mine for this year. So I think we were at a long running joke at this point of always the bridesmaid, never the bride, because I had come second place at several large events at this point, but hadn't snagged a GT win for myself. I went into Force Convergence in October with a ton of practice. I was grinding games. I wanted to get as comfortable with Delta as I possibly could. Landed on a list that I was super comfortable with, that had some good flexibility that I like, and took that in for a GT win at Force Convergence. I then was just fortunate enough for a few different things to line up at the same time, and then was able to fly out to BC to join for their GT, which also was a ton of fun. And that was, again, really cool to put some faces to names. Had a great run there in a full Swiss event, and due to some weird things and kind of how they all played out we ended up with 3 5-1s at the end of the event. I ended up just winning out on victory points at the end of that and took a second GT. So it was a super cool experience. A lot of work and practice. Thank you for clapping, Sean. No, the praise. We're back to the praise thing, and I'm uncomfortable again.
And because I know it bugs you.
But it's just super cool to hit that point. It's something I had been working towards for the existence of the game to that point, and just it does feel good for that to kind of just pay off.
Get the monkey off the back.
It's been a good year for competitive wins. Titus, we did key operations at the house, and you actually saw my little trophy shrine that's set up.
It's getting big
on the main floor. I should actually get that up behind me, because that's exactly what that's for.
This is the first table bound open right there.
What a good one. What a good one.
Yeah, that was cool.
But just was an absolutely incredible experience.
Yeah. I think we all have a little trophy. Right? You have the TBO lightsaber, Titus.
Which right there, I see it.
I got the Cal. Kyle has some. So I think as a trio, we have all done very well.
Don't forget your newly fresh Tauntaun skull for winning our little draft.
Oh. It is up there.
Yeah, that was a super cool trophy for a 6-person event we did on a whim.
Yes.
This is why I can't have cool toys.
I'm going to go grab that because I think it is incredibly cool. And I'll pass it over to Josh to go in the next one, and I will be right back.
For YouTube viewers.
Honestly, my next highlight is actually all my losses this year, because I think every loss that I've had, I was able to take away something from it. I was able to learn a new lesson, a new strategy, different perspective. And I think that has been a big thing in my growth as a Shatterpoint player, and also being able to have conversations with even newer players of, oh, I did this wrong. Watch out for trying to do this.
Yeah, that's the sort of optimism that it's real hard to maintain, but is really important to keep for when you're just to enjoy the game. I know I struggle. I'm a sore loser sometimes. It's important to keep that in mind. Like you are learning something, and you're getting better every time you put something on the table, win or lose.
And we said earlier in the episode too, is it like Shatterpoint at its core, when you start getting more into it, it's not an easy game, right? Positioning and movement and angles and all that kind of stuff, these things take time. And I think even the 4 of us here still will position something that's wrong or shove something the wrong way. Oh, there it is. Yeah, and it's just not an easy game to play. And I think you're right, Josh, is that those mistakes will stay with you longer than just constantly winning.
And one thing that, like Kyle's always said to me, is you got to find a path. And it's actually expanded how I try to think of the game. And I've been falling over trying to think that way, but I've been trying a different perspective of how do I play this game? How do I kind of reinvent myself in it?
Well, that's what I had to do too, right? I was an Empire player that, admittedly, and this might be a call out internally for some other people. Infernal Squad first season was a crutch, right? It was very much a crutch. And I had to change my perspective and thinking on, okay, how do I want to continue this game? Now, I was lucky that I had a great primary in Thrawn that I really liked, that I really kind of went, magnetized towards. But I think you're right there, Josh. Titus.
All right. My next one was, much like Sean, Coordinated Fire. Starting this was super exciting. I still distinctly remember the chat we had going, trying to come up with the name. And I'm just throwing out a bunch of like stupid, jokey names because it's like, whatever. I'm going to throw out a bunch of ideas and hopefully someone will get inspiration and come up with the real name. And then I was like, okay, well, let's think about like mechanics and stuff, the things that we like. And I know Kyle and I were big Republic players. And I went, okay, well, Coordinated Fire, because surely that's been taken in by a podcast for some other war game or some other, even like some other genre entirely, even like a video game or something, anything.
Nope, not used anywhere.
And no, nothing, not at all. And it was like, okay, well, this is like a key part of our game, and it is something that is near and dear to at least two of our hearts. Let's go with it.
Dark Troopers have Coordinated Fire.
I like Coordinated Fire Strain and formerly exposed for Empire. We don't have that anymore, though.
and then the rest of our local community taking supporting Fire as their Longshanks team is my favorite recently.
Who would do such a thing? I don't know.
I did notice that, Josh.
Yeah, I've been funny. That was very exciting to me because it's just like, okay, I like that joke. That's good.
We're the misfits of our group.
But yeah, it's been great to have a platform to just talk about the game. And also just talk about, like, I know for myself, I've really enjoyed the episodes where we get to talk about, like, gaming habits and things where, you touch on kind of that mental health stuff, even just taking care of your body. Like, those are all things that I don't think gets mentioned a lot in our, tabletop gaming, nerd culture, all that kind of stuff. It's something that is important to me, and I like being able to put it out there. And I think it's good to normalize talking about. It's good to take care of yourself, and you will enjoy your hobbies more if you do.
Yeah, I think it's good to generalize best practices. Awesome. All right. My last one, because I think my list is pretty much done here, is just touching on my favorite box of the year. In our Discord, it was quite popular. Would be Deploy the Garrison, taking the Empire side out of it. I think this is probably, from the mechanics aspect and from the lore aspect as well too, one of the best boxes that they've ever put out for the game.
Mm-hmm.
Krennic as a primary to me is extremely dynamic, and in terms of design is just 10 out of 10. Coming with the two support units, I think we're going to see the Death Troopers and hopefully the Shore Troopers get a little bit more love. But overall, this was my favorite release of the year, one that I continue to play and have a lot of fun with.
I think Krennic is one of the few units that I just want to scream the quotes every time they come up. He did such a good job with that movie, and boy, it translates to the card so well.
Yeah, I think the point control strategy, I think, is something that maybe they are shying away a bit from, unfortunately, but it's nice to have somebody like Krennic in the mix.
I mean, we had a tiebreaker in the last release, so like I don't know that they're shying away necessarily.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think there's still a ton to see, which I think is going to transition well into, this will be my final one as well, because I think we have a lot of shared highlights, I think. But I just kind of want to jump to more recent and the end of the year. Mini Stravaganza showed that we have some cool stuff to look forward to. Kind of at the start of the episode, I shared my excitement about some alternate play formats, including like our draft format, key operations, and legendary encounters. And I'm really enjoying some other perspectives on Shatterpoint as a whole. But that's leading into, I think for me, AMG joining for the interview last week was just the week before. I think we skipped a week here, but joining us for that interview was kind of just a big podcast moment for us in just, hey, we're a part of this really cool thing. And I think it all kind of comes together. I think the excitement around Mini Stravaganza combined with that conversation kind of just left me feeling like, hey, there's a lot more coming to be excited about for this game. There is stuff we don't know yet. There's stuff in the pipeline, and I am just excited to be having this conversation again at the end of next year. And seeing how far we've come in the last year for this game, for our local community, for the 3 of us for the podcast, the 4 of us for our local game group. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for being my partners in this every day and just being obsessed with the same thing that I am. And it is really cool to be able to share that. It's really cool to be able to share that with an audience. And I am excited for what the next year of Shatterpoint has in store.
Absolutely. Yep. Echoed. Yeah. Again, thank you everybody. To the listeners, everybody in the Discord, 100 plus people in the Discord. I don't think any of us thought that would be even possible. Discussions across all different channels, painting, strategy, even the silly meme one I put in there too. Every once in a while, somebody drops something funny in there too. You know what I mean? Again, echo, thank you to the Ontario community and thank you to the Coordinated Fire community.
I will ask for anybody listening, because we are really bad for asking for this and we talk about doing it more often and then we don't, but please like and subscribe on YouTube, rate the podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. That just helps people find us. Thank you for those that have done this, but I know there is a lot of regular listeners that haven't taken the chance yet. And please, just whenever you get around to listening to this over your holiday break, just take a few seconds, throw the rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, like and subscribe on YouTube. It really, really helps us. And we really appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, Josh, did you have any more to input? I know I had one more, but
I would just say our core group. Without our core group, getting the games in on a weekly basis, just kind of been touching on what Tyus said, is kind of soothing for the mental health of, it's been kind of a therapy. It's getting out, being a routine of every week, getting out, playing our games, just chatting with the guys and just having fun.
100%. Like, I know when I'm having a bad day and I come out, it's always a nice thing to like just get to relax and hang out with everybody.
Kind of a push to get through the week. Hey, Thursday night, we get to have a fun night. Let's go.
Tyus, hit us with the final one.
Yeah. So my final one was winning the Table Bound Open. And that was huge for me because not only is it my first big Shatterpoint win, but I've been doing gaming, like tabletop gaming, for about 15 years. And it was my first big win for a tournament, period. And like, that was huge for me. So like, thank you so much for putting it on. And thank you guys for supporting me through that run, because that was huge.
And congrats.
With a very original Titus list.
Very
like
much
you
so.
You didn't just win that event, Titus. You won that event your way.
Yep. I it's always been kind of one of my things ever since playing Magic. I don't like to compromise my creativity in order to go for the win. I still want to play something good, but like very much started out as, I have to build a deck on a budget. But then I realized, I like this and I like to do that creative stuff. And it's always something I'm going for. I want to win, but I want to do it my way. For once, the stars aligned.
There you go. Nice. Beautiful. Good stuff.
All right.
That wraps us up for this one. And
wraps us up for 2025.
And the year, again, we said a bunch of times, thanks again to all of our listeners supporting us. Without you, this doesn't happen. Any final thoughts here, guys, before we kind of wrap this one up for the year?
Just to reiterate, we don't have any more episodes coming out for the rest of the year. We'll be coming back in the new year. And it would be great, anybody who's on the Discord or join the Discord, but pitch some ideas. We're always happy to get ideas from you guys as to what you want to hear about. I know the order deck was one that was asked about.
Some of our best episodes have come from requests.
Yeah,
for sure.
Like the mission discussion was a request. Even just if there's a primary we haven't covered and you would like to hear our thoughts on it, throw that out there. But it's very helpful to have people actually asking for things, because it's like, okay, I know there's an audience for this.
I mean, toss that in the podcast discussion channel in the Discord.
Amazing. And I will give a final thank you for Josh for joining us this week. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Appreciate it, guys.
And for everyone else, we'll be around the Discord for the end of the year. So if you want to chat about anything, jump in there. We are still going to be actively engaging there. And again, like, subscribe, rate, review, all the fun stuff. And we will see you guys in 2026. Thanks, everyone.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Have a good night.
Cheers.